Hi, this is Dom from The Athletic. I write about hockey, NHL, analytics, fancy stuff, and the NHL hockey season is coming up. I made a fancy cheat sheet for our readers that lets you customize rankings based on how your league works, and I'm here to show you how to use that. So, first thing you want to do is open your file and navigate to the settings tab where you can set up exactly how your league runs. And for most people, the first step is deciding to go points or categories. Points are whether you get a specific weight for different points. So if a goal is worth 3 points, an assist is worth 2 points, that's your type of league. If you get graded on categories, so winning a category for the week, rotisserie leagues, something like that, you would write down categories under league type. And after that, you go to the scoring system and you type in exactly how your scoring system works. If you are in a points league, you only fill out what is in the points column. If you're in a categories league, you only have to fill out what's in the categories column and ignore the other. So right now, as soon as you download, the sheet is set up for standard leagues. If you are in a points league that maybe makes goals worth 4 points, assists worth 3, shots worth 1, blocks worth 0.5, you change those in the sheet down that column, and the list tab will calculate things automatically from there. Let's just add plus minus, why not? And if you're in a weird league that has penalty minutes, we'll add those too. And you do that for all the categories that are in your league. From there, there are some other settings. You can decide whether to use a games played projection or not. So I project how healthy each player will be based on previous health. Some fantasy users don't want that, and that's fine. But for players like Charlie McAvoy or Brad Marchand who are out for a significant period of time, it is helpful to have that in. You can also change the forward separation. So some leagues will have centers, left wings, and right wings. Some leagues will have 0 designation, and you simply just type forwards or center, left wing, right wing to make that designation. You put the number of teams and the number of teams to affect the replacement level, which is how the rankings work. So essentially, McDavid, if he's the top center, he'll be compared to the 21st best center, and that's based on the top 100 players drafted. And in that sense, there are 21 players drafted, so replacement player is the 21st player. McDavid, his value is based on how much better he is than that 21st center, because that is how your league will generally draft, and that's the best way to determine value. Some people tend to defer to position, where rather than by draft, they'll go by the fact that there's, in a 12-team league, 24 centers, and instead McDavid will be compared to the 24th center. I try to stay away from that because it makes defensemen a little too valuable, because in a lot of leagues there are 4 defensemen, and if they're compared to the 48th defenseman instead of the 22nd, it just creates a bit of a rankings bias towards defensemen. That option is there, but for me personally, I do tend to stick to drafts. Some people might want a blend of that, but that is just an option that is there for you, and things will change depending on how many teams are in your league. So if you're in a 10-team league, for example, McDavid will instead be projected to the 18th best center rather than the 21st. It depends on how big your league is, but most leagues are 12 teams, so we'll stick to that. The last thing is the booster bust. That's a new feature we added this year with me and Shayna Goldman, and essentially we added a layer of subjectivity to the rankings, where if we like a player a bit more, we'll add a little plus, and his projections get boosted by 5%. We like a player a lot, like Jack Hughes, and we add 3 pluses, his projections get boosted by 20%. The stats that are affected are in this column right here. And on the actual list, you can add different pluses and minuses on the adjustment column if you like a certain player more than we do. So for example, if you don't like Austin Matthews as much as we do, you can delete the plus and his projection will change accordingly, and he goes from 59 goals to 56 goals. We personally believe that he'll probably be over 100 points, which is why we added the plus in the first place. But some people might not agree, and this gives you an easy way to adjust things accordingly. as you'll see on the ranking, it's not sorted. After you adjust your league, that is something you'll have to do, and you go to the VORP column and sort descending, and that should put all the players in the right order. So you'll see a lot of wingers jump around, and the top 3 may remain the same, but after that, things change. And that's the beauty of the cheat sheet. It is fully customizable and lets you tailor your ranking specifically to exactly what your league needs, whatever that may be. And traditional rankings don't really do that. There's still 2 things that I like to keep in mind when I'm drafting using the cheat sheet. The first is that defensemen are often a bit underrated. You need, in most leagues, a lot of them, and there aren't a lot of good ones. So try to get some of the better ones who take top power play time and get a lot of points, because there's a big gap between the defensemen that are good and defensemen that aren't, and that sometimes tends to get underrated when you're drafting. The other thing is using a bit of game theory, because just going strictly by the cheat sheet and the rankings that you've created sometimes might lead you astray if you're reaching too much for players that the sheet likes. Look at the average draft position, look at where players are going to be available, and try to target players around the territory where they might be drafted. If a certain player is ranked 40th, but he's getting taken 100th overall, then it might be better to wait it out and take another player ranked 41st who's supposed to go in that round. Sometimes you might miss on a sleeper or a player you really value, but it's worth it to maximize value in terms of optimizing where exactly to take players. And it goes beyond just following the sheet like a gospel. You gotta draft smartly too. Don't forget to go to theathletic.com to download your cheat sheet, and best of luck with your drafting.